Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode on the sum of our lives. Today we'll be covering the topic of how much news is too much news. The media we consume daily has an impact on our thinking, behaviour and emotions. If you're fallen into a pattern of regularly watching or listening to the news, consuming too much news can take a toll on your physical, emotional and mental health. In a survey conducted by the Pew Research Centre, more than 50% of adults say that news causes them stress, and many report feeling anxiety, fatigue, or sleep loss as a result. Yet 1 in 10 of us checks the news every hour, and 20% are constantly monitoring our social media feeds, which exposes us to news whether we like it or not. So why is this an issue? Research on collective traumas such as Ebola, swine flu, and terrorist attacks conducted over the past 2 decades reveals that widespread media coverage of a global crisis like COVID-19 can increase emotional distress and have long-term consequences for physical health. In another national study, the stress responses to the 9/11 attacks were associated with a 53% increase in cardiovascular disorders in the following 3 years. As the world responds to a crisis like COVID-19, a related threat has emerged, and that is our insatiable appetite for news all around the clock. Let's look at how this can impact someone as explained by John Paul Davies, a London-based psychotherapist and spokesperson for the UK Council of Psychotherapy. For someone with anxiety, they may look at what is a small possibility and focus on it, rather than on what is probable. For example, those who are prone to anxiety might read an article to source factual information about the economy, then go down a rabbit hole and focus on the worst-case scenario for their own income prospects. They might say, "My job is at risk, I'm going to lose my job, and then I can't support myself, and then I'll lose my house." For those with depression, the opposite might be the case. Davies explains some people switch off and become apathetic after being exposed to too much information, and instead turn to alternative dangerous sources of stimulation such as too much alcohol or food. So what's the right amount of news to consume? Well, it depends. Checking once a day might be sensible, and to align this to when government announcements have already occurred. For others with high levels of anxiety, it might be every few days or once a week. Here's some ways that we can limit our media exposure. Identify any triggers that might be causing you to read up on the news. Be selective and stick with a few trusted news sites. Limit the time you read the news, such as to 10-minute sessions. Ask others to keep you updated on key developments only. If people you follow are filling your feeds with upsetting information, mute or hide their posts. Avoid being the news messenger that shares too much. Others may not be able to digest it. Don't read news before going to bed, or replace news reading habits with new activities, such as going for walks. Over time, what you should notice is additional time freed up for more relaxing hobbies and your ability to stay more present without worrying about the past or the future. You might find this checklist helpful to score yourself against. I'll include more information in the description below, including some helpful links. If you found this video helpful, you can show your support by hitting like or subscribe. In future, I'll be covering more general tips around self-care, so please stay tuned.